Taisei is the general manager of Roy's Coralina. Taisei's Talk, Love, and Profit explores his perspective of how restaurant experience correlates to successful business culture, specifically in Hawaii's saturated and competitive restaurant industry. Taisei was born on the island of Oahu to a Japanese-American mother and an African-American father. His introduction to restaurant service happened at the Swiss Inn. This was his family's restaurant that was a bona fide local favorite in 2004. The newly opened Roy's Coralina welcomed this young teenager onto the team. In the following 19 years, he went from bussing tables to being named the general manager. Taisei's experience will drive, yes, this talk highlighting how service and passion impact business and life. Y'all give it up for Taisei. Come on up here.
Beautiful. All right. Mic on? All right. Thank you. That was a beautiful introduction. I really appreciate it. I'm humbled by it. First and foremost, I just want to say, give yourselves a round of applause. Everybody here. Obviously, you're all here for a reason. You want to better yourselves. You want to create financial freedom for yourselves. And that's also why I'm here. I'm not an investor. I'm not into real estate. I run a restaurant. So I was kind of curious when Dee asked me to be a part of this, because I was like, Dee, I think I should be in the audience. You want me to speak at this thing? And he said, no, man, I believe in you, bro. Like, I've watched you for years. I see the way you command your team, your leadership skills, your charisma. He started building me up, and I was like, okay, I guess you're right. I was like, I'm gonna go up there and speak about crab cakes, you know what I mean? But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to share some of the major takeaways that I've experienced in running an extremely successful restaurant that generates millions and millions of dollars a year. All right? So my name is Taisei Jahim Lee. I am the general manager of Roy's in Ko'olina. It's right across the street at the Ko'olina Golf Course. Wonderful restaurant. If some of you have been there, you've probably experienced some of the greatness. Thank you. So it's been there for 20 years now. We just made 20 years. I got hired as a busboy 20 years ago there, and I've worked through the ranks to eventually become the general manager. In December, I make 5 years. I want to share some of that with you, okay? Just to give you an idea of the quality of Roy's restaurants. We have 10 locations scattered throughout the islands. We've been around for 36 years. Doing business for 36 years in terms of restaurant world, that is unprecedented. You don't really see a whole lot of that, especially when it's privately owned. So I am absolutely fortunate to represent the greatness of Uncle Roy's legacy, okay? So you all know Roy Yamaguchi, he's a James Beard Award winning chef. It's one of the most prestigious awards that chefs can get. And he's respected and really kind of set the standard for high dining experiences in Hawaii, but I would have to say in the world, for that matter. And I am honored to say that I run one of his most successful locations. Okay, so Love and Profit. It took me, I think I knew about this talk for about 5 or 6 months. And I was thinking, I want to be impactful. I want to create a really amazing title for this talk. And I went through maybe 10 different names. And then one day I was driving to work, and I was thinking about all the love that we give. And then I thought about profit. And I wanted to explain to you why I chose Love and Profit. Love, when it comes to a restaurant, we have thousands and thousands of ingredients, right? Garlic, ginger, everything that you can think of, all the seasonings. But I would have to say that love is the most important ingredient in what we do, end of day. And we serve generous amounts of it in many different ways. By the way we communicate with people, by the relationships that we create, by the way we make eye contact, by the way we smile and give warm hugs. That is the energy in that restaurant. So I thought love was very suiting. And then I thought profit. Right? No long-term sustainable business doesn't have profit. You need profit to have a sustainable business is what I'm saying. But I thought, I'm not talking numbers and percentages. I probably can't do that anyway. Uncle Roy wouldn't want me to do that. So I'm not talking numbers and percentages. P&Ls. I'm talking the type of profit that guests gain, the gains that guests get, the type of profit they get by having experience at Roy's in Coalina. One example would be, I gained more focused time with my family in an amazing environment. Another form of profit would be, I gained nourishment for my body in a way that I couldn't have done myself. I can't cook this kind of food. I can't create these kind of sauces. Another form of profit or gain is I've gained family members because I was accepted when I went into this restaurant. For some reason, the staff treated me as if I was their own. That's a form of profit in my head. Or when people leave the restaurant or leave the island, they came to Four Seasons or Aulani or the Marriott, and they came across to Roy's and they experienced aloha in a way that they've never experienced before. That's my goal, is to give them that type of profit. When they're on that plane leaving, I want their sense of aloha to have come from Roy's. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of profit I'm talking about. And I want to talk a little bit about myself. All right, so 2002, I graduated from high school, James Campbell High School. I'm a local boy. I'm from Honokai Hale right here, which is the adjacent community right next to Ko'olina. It's right on the outskirts. That is where I'm actually from. All right, so I think that's important to say that because I take a lot of ownership in representing this part of the island when I go into work. When I go into work, I am representing my family, I'm representing my ancestors, everybody who came before me in this area, people who have lived in this area before me, right? So after high school, I graduated in 2002. I went to LCC, Leeward Community College, and I was kind of aimless. It kind of felt like just like a bigger high school for me. And I didn't like sitting in the classrooms. I was more interested in what happened outside of school than in school, withdrawing, re-enrolling, withdrawing. And my mom was like, yo, I recognize that you're not really motivated right now. There's a restaurant opening in Ko'olina. I want you to go apply. After all, my whole family has been in the restaurant business and in hospitality our whole lives. So my lineage is of service. So I went down, I applied, I got a job. I recognized something that I've never seen before in that room of applicants and trainers. I saw like an energy, a passion that I didn't experience in school. So it gained my interest. I was like, why is everybody so pumped about this restaurant? You know, and I was like, man, I kind of want to be a part of this. So I got hired as a busboy, and I worked through the ranks, and I really liked how the work days went. Every single day was a new day. I met new people, there were new experiences, there were new challenges, and I would have to overcome, add that experience to my knowledge bank so I could reference it when a similar situation would come up in the future. And it all led to where I am now, the general manager, the guy with the ultimate responsibility to make sure that I'm carrying Roy Yamaguchi's torch. Absolutely amazing. You know, so now that I'm a general manager, I want to kind of talk a little bit about my philosophies of what it means to be the leader of a team of 100 people. So what we do is, yes, we serve crab cakes. I said that earlier, right? We serve crab cakes among a lot of other great items. We got something for everyone. Come see us, make a reservation. But we do a lot more than that. The way I look at it is that we're healers, okay? Healers, get that, right? We're serving food on a ultra fabulous resort, and I see it as we're healers. Why? What is healing, right? Some people go to the medical field to heal. Some people do therapy, some people do physical, some people do mental healing. The comedy is healing. How many times have you been feeling a little down? You go to a comedy show and then you have a bunch of laughs and then you feel much better afterwards. That's a form of healing, right? Music, art, all of that. That's all healing. I look at what we do as healing. We're nourishing bodies. We're healing the spirit. We're making people comfortable. You can forget about the things that might be challenging to you for a couple of hours in a space where you're accepted and acknowledged and loved. We go back to love. Okay? So that's kind of my philosophy. Healing, healing, healing. Okay? What does it take to separate Roy's from other restaurants? Because you can go fill your tummy at any place, right? For a lot cheaper than you would spend at a Roy's Experience. You're spending over $100 a head. I can go spend $17 at a plate lunch place and get a whole lot of food and feel satisfied. And what I realize is that people are coming to Roy's for a feeling. And what's different from Roy's than from other restaurants is the people that occupy the space there, my staff members. That's what I realized. A lot of you are business owners and leaders in your own right, and you command staffs. That is what separates your business from other businesses. A lot of competitors, you got this real estate firm, you got this real estate firm. What's the difference? It's the people that's working for you, right? And it's how you command them, teach them, and cultivate them, right? And the efforts that you put into them that's gonna separate you from the others, okay? So I kind of wanna touch on 3 major C's. I thought about it, I wanna do 3 C's. One of them is culture, one of them is community, and the last one is curation, how you curate the area and how I've, curated mine. So the first one, culture. Culture is super important. You can sense culture as soon as you walk into a building. When you walk into Roy's and you get greeted by the host, beautiful smiles, aloha, welcome to Roy's, how you doing this evening? That sets the tone for the entire experience. I tell my hostesses, you're lobbing the ball so the servers can hit the home run, right? So you walk in, aloha, welcome. You see the vibe, you feel the energy, it feels great. You walk past the kitchen, we have an open air kitchen. The guy on the sushi bar is like, aloha, welcome to Roy's. You're like, oh, why, y'all happy in the kitchen. Okay, that's good. I guess you're cooking my food. I guess, I want you to be happy. And then you get to the table and the server assistant comes up to the table and greets you with this warm aloha. Aloha, I train all my guys to do that. Nothing less is acceptable. Aloha, welcome to Roy's. How y'all doing this evening? I just want to say happy birthday to you, young man, right? We put all this type of effort into building this experience, okay? And then the server comes to the table and happy, and at this point, you're kind of wondering, what's going on here, man? This is weird. Everybody in this place is happy. Everybody seems like they want to be here. Why? It's because of the culture. It's because of the way the staff are taken care of, the way their concerns are listened to, the way that we acknowledge them, the way that we understand that their outside lives are more important than their employment. How's that? I come from a generation where employment was way more important than your outside life. And it's hard for some of us as elders or as older people. I'm 40 years old, right? I'm 40 years old, so I'm younger than these guys that I'm hiring. I could hire an 18, 19-year-old and they could be my kids. But what I realized was important that I want everybody to take away is that you have to adjust as an older person to the younger generation. And it takes a different way of managing them. It takes a different type of attention if you want to retain your staff. You have to adjust to who they are and what their concept of employment is, and slowly and gradually teach them by giving efforts in ways that we didn't have to before, right? Before, people used to come on time, clock in, work hard, start to close. Now, they're checking their phones, they're smoking their vapes, they're doing all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? So you have to understand that is their reality, and if you don't want to just be firing people all the time, you have to cultivate them gradually. I work with a lot of youngsters, all right? So that's the culture in my restaurant. I never had to fire one person. In the 10, 11 years that I've been managing, I've never had to fire anybody. I feel like, thank you. I appreciate that. But you know what I was going to say after that is that they fire themselves. So people do get let go, but but they understand, and they literally, they understand. And I give first, second, third, fourth, fifth chances, depending on the level of liability, right? But I'll give you chances, but it's going to come with a very stern talk. It's going to come with some discipline, right? And then I'm going to follow up with you. And that's the whole understanding of my leadership staff. We're all on the same page when it comes to that. But second, third, fourth, fifth chances are all very important, I feel. Okay? And that focused effort, that additional effort that you normally wouldn't give, or the type of efforts that you didn't receive because you didn't need it. These guys need it. Cultivate the youth. Okay? So that's the type of culture we got going on. Also, another thing that I want to add to the culture is that recently we started exercising together. So as business owners, I don't know, this might not apply to everyone's business, but maybe there'll be some takeaways here, right? This is what applies for my business, and I'm just sharing it with you all, okay? So what we started doing is we started a running club recently, to the point where 28 of our 100 employees on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays go running. And we just do 2-3 miles, you know what I mean? And not everybody runs. But what that did was it created a cohesiveness that we wouldn't have otherwise. It created healthy habits, right? And what I noticed from it is that at work, those that are in the running group kind of watch over each other a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I think that's really important as well. Having those outside relationships, and especially when it's health focused, is really good. There's only positives that come from that. Okay, community. This is a very, very important one. Being that I am from this community, right? Born and raised here, I'm invested into representing this part of the world. When it comes to community, you got to think about it. Okay, as a business, what community are you in? This community, whether they like it or not, is allowing you to make and generate money. You're using this land to generate money and profit for your business, right? You're taking employees from the community to generate that profit. What, as a business, are you doing for that community to give back? That is extremely important. And it's something I've only recognized in the last maybe 10 years. You know, I've worked there 20 years. The first 10 we was playing around. And then when I got into management, I started to realize, man, you know, it's kind of important to give back. So a couple of ways that Roy's Coalina gives back. Right now, we're currently doing a school supply drive. For most of you that know this community, Coalina is a bubble. The harsh reality is when you leave this bubble, you see what's going on. Try go west. Look to the left, look to the right, and see some of the hardships and the conditions that these people are living in. See the amount of drugs, see how drugs are affecting the community, homelessness, right? When you go down that way. So there's a lot of people that could benefit from people in positions that can support. And we got to realize that. And that's something that we realize as a business and as a staff. School supply drive for Waianae Elementary. That's what we're currently doing. We've done clothing drives for the shelters. We've done food drives for the hungry. We've also done, what else have we done? Career days. Career days. When I was asked to do a career day and I showed up at Kapolei Elementary School, they were like, oh, everybody's calling me chef. Because if I work in a restaurant, obviously you're the chef, right? Because what would a front of the house manager tell fourth graders, right? So everybody, when everybody's confused, and I was like, actually, no, I don't cook food. I cook the energy. I cook the experience, right? And they're like, okay, Mr. Philosophy, that's cool. So, but then when I realized it and I put it into perspective, when I made that statement, it kind of drove me through the actual speech to these students. And it wasn't just about food and serving food. It really came down to like, watch, look at this local boy. You know, school wasn't really for me. I recommend you stay in school, but school wasn't for me. So I took a different route and I worked my butt off. And I worked my butt off from an entry-level position to the point where I was ultimately responsible and I was making all the calls. You can do it too, right? So that was what I was bringing to these kids. Then also purpose, asking them does anybody in a fourth grade level know what their purpose is? What do you desire to do deep inside? Okay, so this is what we're giving the community. This is what Roy's Coalina is giving the community back. Inspiration to these youngsters, right? Clothing to people that need it, food to people that need it, school supplies to people that need it. And then on another level, there's also some cultural give back that we do as well. Every once in a while, the last one that we did was a lo'i. We went to go clean a lo'i. Does anybody know what a lo'i is? Right? So lo'i is it's essentially a taro or kalo patch, right? Staple Hawaiian food. Taro or kalo is used to make poi, and it's literally grown in a couple of feet of mud, okay? And every once in a while, these lo'i patches are overgrown with shrubs and weeds and invasive plants. So we thought it would be a good idea. Hey, let's take the staff, tell your family members, and tell the keiki in your family to come. And then we're going to learn a little bit about the Hawaiian culture. We are in Hawaii, after all. Hawaii. We're in Hawaii. We should know about the people that were here before all of us, right? And the culture, and make sure that people are understanding that. So anyway, we go to this lo'i. Everybody's like, wait a minute, we're gonna go in there, right? And then eventually, everybody, including the children, knee deep, tadpoles and mud, and we're cleaning up all this brush. And then we started seeing the water flowing. And then the kids were kind of making relations to like how cleaning this benefited this lo'i patch. And it was one of the most beautiful cultural experiences that I've ever had. These types of things, whether you're in Oklahoma or New York, let's put a slide up. So that right there, that's the lo'i patch right there. On the left-hand side, on the top middle, that's a nicer picture of us. On the right-hand side, that's a school supply drive. On the bottom, that's a food drive. Okay? So I guess my point was, the lo'i was an amazing cultural experience, and no matter where you are, there's some type of culture that you can get yourself involved in to give back to the people that were there before you. Okay? That's what that was. One last thing that I missed real quick was, see that top left one? Those are called mock interviews. That's another way we give back. So that's for high school students. So imagine high school students that never had any experience in an interview situation, and then they graduate, and then they go try to get their first job, and they have no experience in an interview setting. So that's something that we do as well. We go to the schools, and then we grill the kids, and then we kind of polish them up and tell them how they could answer better, and prepare them for the workforce. Okay? Career days. Really, we're just really one big family. I think that translates to the feel when you're in there. Okay, so the last C, we did culture, we did community. The last one is curation. Okay, curation. As leaders, as general managers, as owners of business, it all starts with you, just so you know. And maybe you do know. But what are the effects of if you're having a bad day or if you're having a good day? That's what you have to recognize. And sometimes you just got to flip it. Because everything that you do and everything that you are is going to trickle down to your leadership staff. Then it's going to trickle down to the service, the operational staff. And then it's going to translate to the experience of whatever the customer or guest is experiencing, right? So curating the vibe, making the magic happen, being able to flip the switch if you're having a bad day, super important for the success, the overall success for your business. And then it's also consistency, right? You're gonna have to make sure that you can do that for a prolonged period of time if you wanna be a sustainable, long-lasting business, okay? Curation. I would have to say D is a very good example of curating. Because when that man steps in the room becomes D's energy, right? And I always looked up to him in that aspect. So sometimes when I'm at work, I kind of think of D. And I'm like, I'm going to be my D in my own way. You know what I'm saying? And then everybody here can learn from that too. Be your own D. You know what I'm saying? So, I hope that you were able to get some good nuggets from this talk. I did kind of want to finish it up with some questions if anybody has any questions. But I did want to say one thing, that there really is no one way to do anything. There's a lot of paths to success. And I think that could be summed up with the saying, many rivers, one ocean. Okay? I really appreciate your ears and your time. Thank you. Thank you. Are we doing questions or?
I'm just going to see, did we have, like one? Did we have any questions for Taisei? Any questions? Go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of places to eat in Colina.
Yes, sir.
You make the difference, and that is true. We
Thank
go
you.
to Roy's all the time, and it's the feeling that you have in there, and it does. It starts at the top. It starts at the top, and what you've done for your team and that restaurant is what makes the difference in that restaurant compared to any other place we've ever been. So appreciate that.
Absolutely
you.
love it. Any other questions for Ty? Over here? Where are we at? Okay.
Hey, thank you very much. I just want to know if we can make a reservation. we never had the honor of eating there yet.
I look forward to that. My brother, I actually have my phone with open table on it. I can put you in right after this. We'll seal the deal on that.
Any other questions for Ty? Okay, right here in the front.
Table 7 for a birthday tonight. Let me check on my availability. I'd love to have you.
Table of 7.
Yeah.
If y'all don't get on open table and make it happen and stop playing, what else? Any other questions for Ty? Yes, go ahead in the back.
Hey, Taisei, thank you very much for you coming out here and sharing your time and experience with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jose Jaime Enriquez, I had the pleasure to dine with you guys. Definitely go see Taisei. What I wanted to ask you was, you talked about creating your experience, creating your own vibe, and you called yourself a healer.
Yes.
So how do you change your mindset from going, I'm just a busboy, to eventually, I'm a healer? Can you take us a little bit through that journey?
Okay, well, I would have to say it was a gradual process. And just like how everyone evolves, right? Mentally, spiritually, and whatnot. It was something, I honestly figured that out about 3 months ago. I was like, man, what we do is very healing, right? So I would say that it was a gradual thing. I had, a couple of mentors that I looked toward. But, honestly, I would have to say it's my mother that she's my spiritual foundation. And she kind of mentioned something about it's kind of like healing at one point. And then a little while after that, while I was actually in the process, in the act of healing, I was watching people turn their frowns to smiles, and by the time they're leaving, they're like, man, I feel so much better. And then I remember what my mom had said. So I owe all of my spirituality awareness to my mother, who I wish was here, but she's gonna watch this later, but I think she's the one that helped me recognize that. But we were doing it the whole time.
Awesome.
All right, I just want to say real quick, Ty, and I love what you just mentioned toward the end. He mentioned turning your frown into a smile, turning that frown upside down. And I will say that as I was in the back, this wasn't even a part of the program, by the way. As I was in the back, I was saying, this man knows how to tell a story. And oftentimes when you get these leaders and business owners and entrepreneurs and people that are still trying to build, it's hard to tell your story. I can tell you in the back and not looking at a single one of your slides, learn community, culture, connecting, curating an event, and making sure that you're curating that space for the people that work for you, right? And I think that shines through in everything that you do. So I just want to say, from one storyteller to another storyteller, thank you for sharing your time, your energy, and your effort with us, because you really lit up the room yourself in your own D way.
In my own D way.
Give a round of applause for Taisei.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. I appreciate it.
Woke up
Come on, D.
At about noon, just thought that I had to be in